Culprit detective.
Ancient sands, heed my command.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
And reclaim these relics of
I think I'm kinda gay.
Morphin' time!
Kinda gay.
Same thing that happens to everything else.
If the apocalypse comes, beat me, beat me, beat me, beat me, beat me.
Welcome to Real Hot Nerd Shit, a pop culture podcast where real hot nerds talk about real nerd shit. I'm your host, Ryan.
And I'm your co-host, Shauna.
And on this episode of Real Hot Nerd Shit, we'll be talking about Agatha All Along, episodes 6 and 7, right? 6 and 7, in the theme of witchcraft, witch bitch, our coven, etc., which is how we got our guest for today. To do that, we have our guest hot nerd, Hector. Bonjour, hermana.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Oh, please don't make me try to speak Spanish on a podcast.
More Latino tonight.
I don't want to get canceled. I don't want to poorly speak Spanish into a recording.
I took Latin, so I'm just going to translate all of the Agatha chants. Like, I got that, but yeah.
That's a great place to start.
Very useful.
Shauna's remedial Latin has come in handy quite a bit. Is it fair to say it's remedial? I can't imagine
Absolutely.
It's still. Okay.
No, it is. I was going to say, great use. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, love calling bitches remedial.
Father Vincent did his best, however.
Okay, got it. Oh, was that did you have to have a Latin name?
No. He just happened to have, that was the priest name who was.
Oh, that was the priest name. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was my sophomore Latin teacher.
Did you have to have a different name so we had to have a French name or a Spanish name? You don't have to share yours, but
no, I don't think they did actually.
Okay. Yeah, we did.
I did in French.
What was your French name?
God, I don't even remember. It was not something like Francois. I don't remember what it was.
My freshman year, it was Pedro. And then my sophomore, junior, senior year, it was Javier, specifically, obviously, because it's the Spanish version of Xavier. And it became part of my identity, for a good chunk of my high school and honestly into college. I had Estabi Javi as my email. Because my Spanish teacher would say that casually to me if I would mess up. I wanted to be a Spanish teacher. I wanted to be Mr. Shu from Glee. Before he was Glee, I wanted to teach high school Spanish and I wanted to direct high school theater. But that's a whole other episode for a whole other thing. But
shout out to the No Sabos. Shout out to the No Sabos who are still learning the language.
I really love. I'm so glad that I know the language. I get embarrassed by trying to speak it because I don't speak it often enough that it sounds very much so like an American speaking Spanish. But when I was in Puerto Rico earlier this year, it took a couple days of me intentionally trying to speak Spanish when I could before I was oh, okay, I still have no idea what most people are saying, but at least I know how to ask survival and conversational questions that will tell someone, this person is not a native speaker.
Yeah. Immersion has been the best way. I mean, when going to Guatemala,
Mm-hmm.
that was absolutely something that I encountered of my comfort level growing the longer we were there. And then really being proud of helping some German tourists at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all communicating in Spanish, and it was just I was able to help them. So that was pretty cool.
Love that. Now, Shauna, do you have any experiences where speaking Latin to another Latin speaker has helped you?
Latin is a dead language.
I know, it's a joke.
Yeah,
bitch.
it was very useful in terms of speaking. Look, I do love giving the etymology of the word ambidextrous.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite because it means.
Do you care to share with the class?
I would love to. So the Latin word for right is dexter, where you get words like dexterity, and the
Dexter's
Latin word for left
obviously.
is sinister.
Adwa.
Yeah, of course, the right lab. Yeah, and so
a la derecha.
Yeah,
a la
sí,
droite.
exactly. And so ambidextrous, am is the Latin word for to use, bi, of
Okay.
course, meaning two. And so dexterous means to be able to use both your hands as if they're your right hand. So to have two right hands.
Fascinating.
How
Yeah.
rude to
Wow.
default to the right hand, though.
Absolutely.
Well,
Low-key
I mean, that's
ableist
just,
in some way.
yeah.
You know, there was a different time. It was the 90s. They didn't think the same way.
But
Um,
but the Latin root and being able to really construct from the love languages
mhm.
and then being able
Yes,
to then translate spell work.
sure. Oh, very
Well,
helpful.
like,
And also,
me.
let's cognates rule. When I can read stuff in other languages because it looks like Spanish or like
Yeah.
it looks enough, it's shout out to cognates.
I've
Not the false cognates though. Those are like the things I remember from wanting to be a Spanish teacher.
I've been confused before reading Italian thinking I was reading Spanish because it
Oh,
was
for
like,
sure.
wait, oh wait, no, that's but also same thing.
When I dated an Arab man, and I tried to start learning Arabic, and it,
Which dialect though? Aren't
girl,
there?
I don't know, whatever.
I
Not
think there are a lot of them. Is what it was my point.
Farsi. Is that
Yeah.
one of the Arabic
Okay.
ones?
Yep.
It was on. I don't even think it's like on Duolingo. Maybe it was on
It
Duolingo.
might
I don't
be.
remember.
Farsi
I
might
did
be.
not. I did
Yeah,
not
because
see it through.
Farsi is, I believe, Iran, if I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
mistaken.
Yeah, and
Yeah, 'cause,
this person's
uh,
Palestinian.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
anyways,
Yeah, I
okay.
think, yeah.
So obviously we're nerds for language, but Hector, you're here as a member of my coven, but also just because you are a generally nerdy person. So, aside from like brujeria and like other things, if a nerd is someone who is like weirdly knowledgeable and passionate about something, and sometimes people might think that thing is uncool, what are you a nerd about?
God. So Shauna will relate to me in this that D&D
Mm,
has absolutely been over the past like couple years at this point, couple of years we've been playing. One of those things that it's like before there is the before time
mhm,
and then there is the after time
totally.
where I find myself wanting to bring up D&D in general conversation with
Mhm.
someone who is just trying to make an order at a Wendy's. Like
Right, right, right.
I
Bitch.
but it really it put into perspective that like concept of how people would look at somebody who was a D&D nerd,
Yeah,
in
totally.
high school or grades or whenever, thinking about being young and a D&D player, there's that like, oh, you're, a loser, you're a
Yeah,
nerd,
for
whatever
sure.
it is. And meanwhile, as an adult coming into this game and realizing the way that game structure and character development really
Sure.
ties in at so many levels. There are so many times now where I'll be watching a show specifically and I will be like, oh, that's the bard, that's the paladin, they're
Yeah,
the
the
cleric.
archetypes.
Like they are the archetypes,
Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah,
so
totally.
D&D has absolutely been something that I've immersed myself in. It was it was a hyperfixation for a while. I was
Sure.
building I was building a lot of characters. I was buying a lot of like supplemental materials, custom character sheets,
Hmm.
designing different minis because that's like this is what I'm saying like as it's a whole world of
Totally.
options. You
There's
design your
so much to
character
participate in with
so
D&D.
much, so
Hmm.
much. And then that's not even getting into like mechanics of actually playing the game.
Sure.
So that's absolutely one of those games where it's like everything it's like 90% all the other stuff, 10% actually playing the game.
Right. Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, because playing the game, like, is more of just like hanging out, and
It
it's
is.
like
It's fun.
prompts. It's literally just prompts for conversation with your fucking friends.
It is a story that you tell together.
Yeah.
Is my best
Um,
explanation.
are you Shauna's obviously a D&Der. You're
Nerd.
We play in the same
We play
campaign
together,
together.
yeah.
So
right,
yeah,
exactly. Who's your DM? Is it Kelly?
Kelly.
Kelly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shauna's
Um,
girlfriend.
so are you a general board game nerd or just D&D?
Me, I not so much like sit down board game stuff. Like
Sure.
I think what it is about D&D is that there's opportunity to be creative without any limitation.
Sure.
Like there are some, I mean, I guess you could look at them as limitations based on
Yeah.
on game mechanics, but I mean, how you tell a story is how you tell a story.
Right.
So I have really opened the door to playing other tabletop role-playing games, TTRPGs,
Hmm.
and actually was just playing with Kelly and a group of friends on like Friday. We play or not Friday, Wednesday. Played Monster of the Week, and that
Cute.
was yeah. So it's like D&D is one path down like a myriad of different types of games that are mostly for creatives. I look at it
Sure.
that that tabletop role playing is just an avenue to itself. I don't look at it as like a monopoly,
Sure.
or
Sure. Very that. Very that.
it's
It's
a very different
totally
thing,
different worlds. Yeah.
right?
Shauna,
Um,
you're a board gamer.
That's true.
I mean, I feel like what are what's your experience with board games? Do you want to
So
dump? Do you want to brain dump how much you love them for? You had this like smirk on your face while Hector was talking, and I was like, she's got something
she's
cooking, and
thinking.
I need to like open the oven and check. But
fair.
sorry if I pre-meet, as the gamers say.
No,
How are
no,
your
like
buns doing?
my buns are great, thank you.
So we
So
hear.
yeah. So no, I love board games though, and I love like D&D and like those, like you were saying, the creative aspects.
Mm,
There's no wrong way to approach a problem,
Mm-mm.
and like let me tell you, this one Hector's a bit of a chaos goblin.
yeah,
Like it's
obviously.
like what like I know was only a surprise, and
I literally
our
start
other
the game with Kelly on Wednesday. I literally started by saying, "I'm here to fuck shit up." Like that's
I'm here to be a problem.
I am the problem.
well, and like so, my girlfriend's the GM, so like she writes all of like the stories, and just she expects like, oh, they're not going to get from point A to point G. It's going to make this long convoluted backwards forth,
Right.
and we'll get there eventually, maybe, but
You have to
there's
plan
no
for
easy
Hector.
route, right?
You can't.
And it's often to the consternation of our other friend, Ryan Snacks,
Right, yes.
who is
Arguably the most like
Rules
rigid.
lawyer.
Yeah, yeah.
yes, and
If
that's where I appreciate having someone else who's as much, if not more, of a rules lawyer than I am, because
oh
because that tends
please.
to be what I do in board games. Is I'm the one who's like, okay, someone needs to read the rules. I'm going to read it, but like
Sure.
he wants to in a way, like, and is going
Hmm.
to be like, oh, well, actually, you can't do X, Y. Like, it's fascinating playing multiplayer games with him for that reason, because
Oh my
he's
Oh,
god.
aware of all of those idiosyncrasies, which I love and appreciate, because my brain also works that way. So it's actually one of my favorite things about him, is that he is
yes, same.
also in that way. And so it really, like, it's always a great challenge to like step up like my like board gaming skills when I'm like playing at a table with him.
Yeah.
I
Not to go ahead, babe.
I love it. At the same time,
Oop.
there are times where he will start down
I
some
love her,
rules.
but
I will
sometimes when she does that thing. Sorry.
I have absolutely told him, shut the fuck up. Like
Oh, yeah.
let Kelly tell me I can't do this without you telling her I can't do this.
Yes. Well, in my daughter's defense, each and every one of us needs to be told to shut the fuck up.
Absolutely.
Like, I was just thinking about in X-Men 97 when Charles is pontificating and Magneto says, Charles, I'm going to say something to you that I've wanted to say for a long time. Shut up. The way that hurt my feelings, because I
Charles's
know people
Charles's
want me to
whole
shut the fuck up.
Charles's hole opened up so wide at that
Yeah.
moment.
Oh, yeah.
The
Oh yeah, natural poppers, baby. Well,
natural
which is
poppers.
funny
Shut up.
because the one of the reasons that I like doing that stuff with Ryan is because I feel like I naturally am put in the position to facilitate. Like that's just the Libra moon of me. It's it's all of my personality in terms of like how I move in relationships, especially with more than one person. But anyways, it's nice because Ryan like leans into the other side. So like I literally like, what are we doing, boss? When we play Fortnite, I just follow him. Like, I don't. Cool. You make the decisions. You tell me where we're going.
So that is so interesting because we were
Because
playing
I'm
Baldur's
such a
Gate.
top otherwise. Oh yeah, no, Baldur's Gate's not for me.
Well, I loved it. Game obsession.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the parallel to D&D is
It's
immediate.
yes, correct.
But playing with Shauna and Snacks, Ryan's, I had to learn that I'm just gonna follow him
Sure. It's
because
the best way to. It's the best. Like, just be along for
it's a
the
great
ride,
way.
girl. He's
It's a
having a
great way
great
to
time.
play. It is a great way to play.
Yeah.
I am just very chaotic with a
Yes.
game like that, and I had started my own game prior to the game collectively, and in
Mm.
my individual run, I was doing stages and explaining to Ryan how I was somewhere, and he's like, "How did you even get there yet when you haven't done this other thing?"
Oh, because
And
she'll find a way.
I'm like, bitch, there's no map. I mean, there is, but there's no like
Yeah.
point, go here, go there. I was
Yeah.
just roaming around and that's where I landed. And no one's going to tell me where to go, like,
Yeah. Shauna is very much so a rules lawyer for board games, but then when it comes to video games, again, not to like Fortnite's gonna wane soon. This battle pass is ending soon, so stay tuned for if we make it into the next one. But
I can't. That's too open
Shauna
world
is
for
such
me.
a fucking like like a whimsical sissy bottom loot princess. Like that will take out your whole team. It
On
like
her gravestone.
no joke. She'll take out your whole team, but it's because she had to because she got distracted and went to the other side of the area that we're in, and so we're not even going to make it to her in time. But she does kill them all by herself because she had no choice.
She got it done.
She got it done.
Like I'll be off making herbal preparations over in the corner, and
Right.
then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, oh you dropped a minute ago. No, it's fine, I'm coming. It's
Yeah, here
okay.
it
And I'm like
comes.
sailing across the map very
Yep.
slowly because I need to
Just
get.
sliding, only sliding.
Look, you get used to it.
Sliding. Oh, true.
No, and it is a great because there was a moment in this past week's Agatha where I was like, oh, this is relatable. This is how I play Fortnite, where all of a sudden I'm there when you don't expect me to, but it's very clutch and handy.
Yeah.
And so just throwing that out there as a future.
Preemptive.
Yes.
Yeah, before we jump into the episode, our little general banter portion, Shauna has terrible news to deliver about quality programming that we are losing.
Yeah, if you haven't had the chance to check out the show Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, it's on Disney Plus, and it's so good. And it's also canceled. Because of course it is. Because why wouldn't a show about a smart, intelligent, science family, like Black woman, girl, like this family of like amazing, like there's so much representation. It's very trans inclusive as a show.
Yeah.
It's like India Moore's a voice actor in it, which I love. It's like one of my favorites.
Dynamic, scientific, just application. Like the way that her grandmother's relationship works is so amazing, and the music fucking rocks. Like
I was
so good.
So good. I was so upset when Shauna said that it was canceled because then I just started singing the theme song and it's been stuck in my head for fucking a whole week. Like Moon Girl Magic. Like what a bop. What a bop. What a waste. What a fucking waste.
Sad.
Tony Stark's ego can't handle it because technically she's the smartest person in the Marvel universe.
Fact.
That's a bad bitch right there. That. And she has a big red dinosaur.
She sure does. It's such a good show. It's such a good show. And
it's so good.
So the fact that that show and Blade also got indefinitely delayed, which is essentially canceled,
I will say
being apart from each other.
Yeah.
I'm not so mad about that.
I love Blade. Fine. Have your opinion.
I love Blade. I don't know how they would redo it. That's all.
Well, because isn't Mahershala Ali, wasn't he cast as Blade, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
I think that's a really
was the for me, the my excitement for it was that Mahershala Ali is a perfect Blade, in
Because he
my
was so good
opinion.
as a villain in Luke
Yes.
Cage, and I was
Yes.
really looking forward to his return to the Marvel Universe in this
And
bigger starring role. Like,
yeah, and he's got the
but
longevity. He's like the perfect age where, of course, because he's black and has great skin, he literally is a vampire. He'll look like this for the next 50
right,
years. So we were talking
Keep
about
that in.
Mahershala Ali as Blade, and
Yes.
how Wesley Snipes coming back for Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, I mean, he obviously looks older, but like he still has it,
Whatever.
just like Jennifer Garner
yeah,
still very much so has it.
Could still
absolutely.
That
very much
And
get it. Like,
well, in that first
please,
Blade movie, like,
yeah,
was such
untouchable.
a it really helped get Marvel and like be like, oh, these movies can be still comic book, big action
hmm
feeling, but still
Totally,
not be ridiculous.
yeah.
like that and Spawn at the
Oh, I still
same,
never
or
finished Spawn because it terrified me when I saw it at the drive-in theater when I was a
Oh, with
kid, and
so
the
good.
clown,
the
The
Violator
clown is a
yeah,
oh
violator,
yeah.
scary
yeah,
as fuck.
John
yeah,
Leguizamo, I believe, played
But
him.
John
yeah.
Leguizamo as that fucking clown.
John, first of all, John
And
Leguizamo, T.
Right.
Down. Anyways, as that, like, we had to leave. It was a drive-in theater, so it was like I was like, I can't watch this. I'm
uh,
too scared. I was how old? Like
Because it
six,
was
7?
terrifying,
Yeah.
but
I was
also
frightened by
very
Jurassic
good.
Park. I still think back to seeing that in theater far too young and
Hmm.
getting absolutely frightened when the Dilophosaurus did the furl out.
Oh,
Like, it like
still
hmm
scares
scared the
me.
shit out of me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Ugh.
definitely scared me.
That
So,
and the full T-Rex blaring, like
yeah,
that
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 Mm,
roar, just like
no. So the thing that I think is very interesting about that is in Deadpool and Wolverine, Wesley Snipes looks dead to camera and says, "There's only been one Blade, and there'll only ever be one Blade." Like, I know I fucked up the
Mhm.
lines, but I remember like tapping one of the like someone that I was with. I was like, 100% that's him telling us that Blade's not happening.
Right,
Like I knew this was coming. I
shutting it down.
like
mhm.
I don't know why they again it's definitely not coincidental, but like I don't know why they would do it like that, why they would, include it in the movie unless it serves some purpose. Um, unless they're going to recast him as Blade again.
Yeah,
Which they
I
Yeah,
doubt
could.
it.
they
But
could.
at the end of the day, I think kind of circling back, I really wanted to focus on it's just another instance
Hmm.
of these big companies canceling, you know, black
Hmm.
starring, queer starring, women
Yep.
starring properties, giving them just enough of an opportunity to not actually have a real opportunity so they can
Mhm.
cancel it and be like, we tried, but
Right.
Yeah,
we didn't
exactly
really.
that. To say we did it and say, yeah, look, we have all this representation in these canceled shows.
Hmm.
Absolutely, and so then
Um,
they churn through, they keep them in developmental hell,
yep.
and it's so frustrating seeing these shows get canceled when there's no reason Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur shouldn't have 5 seasons and just be
Easy.
something that, like, my kid can look back and be like, "Oh, I can watch this for," like, those
Yep.
shows just don't exist anymore, be it for
How
Yeah.
many
our generation.
Spider-Man and Friends? How
Yeah.
many versions are there of Spider-Man and Friends?
Right.
Like
Like
Lego,
imagine imagine
two.
if you got,
Mhm.
the same development of Lunella. Like it's what a
Right.
I think part of it is also that the push around like inclusivity and the how I feel like they like ballooned for a second with like focusing on recruiting and hiring, diverse staff or whatever. And then those people are always the first to go, which
hmm
means they no longer have those showrunners, those,
Those
writers,
voices.
directors, those voices. And then on top of it, something that is super real is that some leadership spaces are just not, you can say you want black people, but then you're not prepared to have black people in the room.
Your actions don't reflect your words.
Correct. Like it's it's really wild that these things ultimately have nothing to do with the quality of the content, the desire for the content, the audience of the content. It is all about who holds the pen to fucking tell the story.
But to harp on Moon Girl,
Yeah,
I just love her technical brain. Like
same.
watching
So cute.
her invent and think through the process of creating an interdimensional portal out of things, pieces, parts in her house. Like
And
incredible.
not for nothing. Also, the fact that she has a Latina best friend who's also super
Lucita!
smart and was what's her name again?
I think it's Lucita.
Okay. Um, when she was mean to her at first, if I remember correctly,
Yep.
and I just what that's one of those tropes that I will just always like is like the popular
Casey.
girl is friends with the loser girl and actually loves being friends with the person that's not cool. It's like there's no need for any messy, stupid. Nope, they're just friends now.
Casey is her name.
And
Yes.
Okay.
speaking
And
of
she's
which,
like a social media influencer, gets
oh, Ryan recently started Owl House.
I
I'm very
did.
excited.
It's so
Speaking in
good.
a very, the relationship that Luz and Amity have, and
Yeah,
like seeing that.
very much so.
Sashir Zameda, also in Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Does she voice the mom?
Adria? I think so.
Okay. Well, and also, funny enough,
Yeah, she's the mom.
Hector mentioned all the different versions of Spider-Man, and apparently, fucking Nicolas Cage is starring in an Spider-Man noir. Like what? I just saw something on like uh, what's it called? Threads, and it was like him fully in the Spider-Man noir outfit on top of like a cab, and it's like, oh, first looks at Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man noir, and I said to Shauna, and she just said, "The what?" Like, who greenlit this?
Nicolas Cage, though, like
Yeah.
Oh,
honestly,
he's the voice of Noir in the Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, work. Okay, I'm
oh,
not
didn't
that
Yeah.
know
mad at it.
that.
Yeah, yeah. That's why he's playing him, is because of that movie.
I'm just like, I guess Nick Cage kind of has gone the way of Tom Hanks for me. Like sunset the old white man. It's fine.
I don't know. I used to hate Nicolas
So
Cage, and
weird.
now I kind of fuck with him in a weird way. Anyways, none of that stuff really matters. Let's get into the reason for the season. Agatha All Along and Witchcraft. So Sean and I asked Hector to join us today, largely because Hector is one of the members of my coven as well. Their face is literally on my altar, a picture of me, Hector, and Uxmal, where one time we were at an event together eating the girls up. We looked incredible. Another mutual friend of ours, Tommy, stopped and he said, "Ooh, look at all this brujeria." And I literally stopped in my track and I was like, "You better fucking believe it. You better recognize that." So, Hector, what's your relationship to the metaphysical, to magic, to the craft?
How long do we have? Couple minutes. Couple
keep
minutes.
it keep it
Keep it short.
succinct, but
Okay.
you're a good storyteller.
So I come from Catholic school like all my life. Shauna and
And then you
I,
saw the craft, and then blah blah blah. That's the end.
it
No, I'm
was
kidding. Sorry.
over. Period.
Sorry.
Yes. Famously, Shauna and I attended the same school.
Right.
Uh, and but I mean, honestly, from early on, like fifth grade or so, my mother at one point bought me a tarot deck from Spencer's that I still have. Oh yeah, and that was like the start of something. That was like, okay, I'm going to study up on this, and then I'm going to get this book, and then I'm going to look at that book. But there was a good story. At one point, I was reading the Witch's Bible
Mm.
in choir rehearsal
Oh no.
in the in church. It did not go over well. I, however, through like hesitating telling my mother, and after because of course I got in trouble for it being at a Catholic school, and afterwards her reaction to it was something that still sticks with me because she just kind of laughed about it, and she was like, really, don't, like,
Yeah.
that's not even a thing that's important.
Yeah.
So from there, honestly, it was a lot of looking for, I think, a way to
I just really put together the fact that you were reading the Witch's Bible in a Catholic school.
That is correct.
Sorry, it took me a second to really like understand the enormity of that.
Right,
Like
right.
the
I mean, it was during choir practice, but still. So my relation to witchcraft was really about trying to find a way to control a lot of uncontrollable aspects of my life. Growing up in a very hectic household and being a queer, closeted, um, chubby kid, there wasn't a lot of freedom there. And working through therapy, the need to stay quiet.
Mm.
So
Perish the thought. In what world did this
see,
bitch
this is
start quiet?
well,
No.
you all have
That's what I'm saying. Like,
received,
it's just so wild.
and you all get the Hector that is in the direction that I want to be in.
Healing.
You get the healing Hector, exactly.
Mhm.
Whereas, like, Nicole came over for Thanksgiving a couple years ago and turned at one point, she's like, "Your family has no idea who you are." And I
Uh-oh.
was like, "Yeah, no, they don't."
There you
So,
go.
so like, not to get too deep, but like that
Yeah.
Nope.
is very much the aspect of brujeria, which is honestly a more recent embracing of my own cultural heritage and incorporating that into what was really a Western view of the craft and
Mhm.
esoteric religions, and how that was constructed based off of, the European origins
Right.
versus growing into a more culturally diverse and really reconnecting back to my own people. So it's really making like this huge circle in my life to be able
Yeah.
to connect in a way that is both spiritual and rooted in my people.
Totally. I very much so. The relationship between the African diaspora
Mm.
and like the Puerto Rican diaspora is
Hmm.
basically a circle, like the Venn
Very,
diagram.
very.
Like I'm sure that historians could describe it better than that, but the fact completes my entire life. Also, 4 days ago, someone asked me if I was Puerto Rican, and I went to Puerto Rico and literally was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
okay, I see
yeah.
it. I got it." And
But
also,
that,
like, thanks. Like, what a great compliment.
honestly, huge
Like,
compliment.
I love being black. I love my black features, and then I see a Puerto Rican man. I'm like, oh, I love yours too, because they
Who may also be black.
correct, exactly. But I feel like a big part of our ancestral magic was they found ways, at least within the African diaspora. I don't know so much, like as much. They found ways to like adhere to the dominant culture,
Yes.
like Catholicism, but they just baked their traditional practices and religion into like safer, westernized, like American quote practice.
And that specifically is what makes Santeria,
Hmm.
Brujeria so
Hmm.
much more accessible, and very much was stuff that I was into and around growing up. There's things like Sana Sana Colita de Rana, the healing spell. No abuelita would ever call it a spell,
Right.
but meanwhile, they're getting an egg from the refrigerator
Right.
and rubbing it all over your body to absorb the
Right.
maldito.
Right.
So
But the egg is just baby Christ. Oh.
no.
No, yeah, isn't that what
Is
they
it?
isn't
Is it?
I feel like it's
I don't
supposed to
know.
represent the newness of Christ or something. I don't know. I could be totally
I
wrong, right?
wouldn't be surprised, but
Right.
you
Like in, well, like in,
specifically.
I mean, the innocent sacrifice, like an innocent fetus egg
Sure.
taking on your
I could see
innocence
Sure.
that.
is a
Oh,
very
work.
That
Okay, so that does
yeah, that
make
makes
sense.
sense.
We
That does
could
make
be
yeah,
sense.
wrong. People
We
that
could be
people that
wrong,
know this shit, feel
yeah.
free to correct us, but you know, that sounds smart. That sounds right.
but
Well, but like
like
I think back, well, that's why in college I was a religious studies major, is because I loved seeing all of the different ways of which there's so much similarity and so much difference and
Mhm.
all of that kind of historical aspect. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
the
and I
the
think
over
please go ahead.
the overlay specifically that you mentioned about how especially in a time where slavery was more than what it is currently because it's not
Sure.
fully gone, but
Right.
in a time where there was so much oppression and so much specifically from the Catholic Church
Sure.
in getting
Or in the name
in
of.
proselytizing and
Mhm.
in trying to really whitewash an entire continent, depending,
Yeah.
pick a continent, and and
Picking like present
right,
tense.
and the way that they being the practicers, the practitioners, made it accessible was exactly that, was
Mhm.
assigning a saint a specific orisha,
Mhm.
or just like being
Shun,
able to
yeah.
pray to Saint Jude, but really you're praying to this other deity. It
Right.
was a
Right.
way to craft even
The
prayer
craft.
books. The craft prayer books are
Mhm.
very common and still sold, and I have quite a few, and they're really good.
Yeah.
That are prayers, but the way that they're written and the way that they're constructed in such that they are petitioning a particular saint or a particular angel, even, is very much a result of that overlay of deities, where you're praying to Mary, but really you're praying to Yemaya, and
Mhm.
it is rooted in that African um, culture, the Yoruba culture, and
Mhm.
it's difficult even to understand where the distinction is. And I find myself having difficulty because I I'm not commiserate. I associate myself with brujeria and santeria, and that knowledge and wanting to seek that knowledge and understand. At the same time, the line is so blurred
Right.
between the Yoruba people, between the African diaspora, between that segment and what they're doing and how they are practicing in Cuba, in Puerto
Mhm.
Rico. And
Right.
and it's all connected, but at the
Right.
same time, you don't really want to step on anything. Like I don't want
Yeah.
to,
Well, I
assert
think
myself in a place.
totally, totally. And I think we're both speaking like from a relatively elementary level. Like I'm
Mm,
not I
not
have friends
experts.
who are like yeah, I have friends who are, deeply invested
Santeros.
in the spiritual yeah, exactly, all of it. And I don't want to disrespect it. So, again, if we're wrong, like we're happy to be wrong and to, admit that I don't know these things as well as possible. But like for me, a lot of my magic that I access is through my ancestors. And
Mm,
like if there's one thing our ancestors are all doing, like the planes might be different, but we're all like
rooting
looking
for you.
towards yeah, we're all rooting for
I'm
you.
rooting for you.
Literally. Like,
Yeah.
I've never really talked about like my like divorce story, but part of what moved me forward in the process was I had this moment after I had asked for a separation, and I was in the bathtub where I find most of my most meditative moments, and I was terrified. I was like, I can't do this. Like I can't do this. Like I was questioning. I was fully spiraling, and I just heard this voice like, just trust yourself. And it was wild because I had, realized how many times I had had these conversations in my head and how many times I had talked myself out of something,
Mm,
and just being like, you're not trusting yourself, like your instinct or your gut is telling you something.
it's your
And
intuition.
it's your intuition.
Mhm.
And when I made that change and when I made that choice, the first time I moved into my apartment and was just my space, the most unreal things happened. Like when I fully started to step into actually practicing and like acknowledging this connection that I have to the divine, like it just felt like I described it as feeling like I got my powers. Like
Abre
it,
camino
sure, the door
is
open, bitch.
exactly,
Like
exactly. Abre
descubre el
paso,
camino
open the way,
secreto. Uxi's
open the
favorite
way.
spell from Charm. Exactly. Which is funny, and I think perhaps one of the last things before we jump into the show is that we fully used our witchcraft to get our friend out of a terrible
It was a
relationship.
bad
That's all we're
relationship.
going to say. That's all we're going to say. It's their
Immediate results, though.
business.
We're too powerful.
Yeah.
Too
We
powerful.
are the coven is really powerful. When Muxie and Hector set our mind to something,
When we are
it's
all aligned,
whew,
get out the way, bitch.
yeah, it's not
And she did.
it's great. But the thing that I was going to connect into Agatha All Along was this connection between like the craft, being a witch, and magic, which are like three separate things. And one of the
Interesting.
things that I have loved about Agatha All Along is that they have begun to show you the differences in those things. So like you have witches as people, and when in the one of the early episodes, Agatha says wherever there's witchy enough people, right? So like
Mhm.
you have to like, yes, we understand that witchiness is an aesthetic, but it is also about being a woo woo bitch. If you're a woo woo bitch, you're a witch. Like I don't know what else to tell you. That is a place to start from. Like the craft, the practice of learning about your connection to the metaphysical and like understanding your ancestor, like that is practicing. That is like the spell work you do. And then like magic is the shit that happens, the shit that's in the air, the shit that we can control and harness. The in the instances of supernatural shows, like when they have powers, like that is magic. That is controlled magic. And I have really fucking loved how they've played with that in so many different ways. So like the brooms, like that's witchcraft.
Besom
Like
Hex. I was
like
like, what are you talking about, Besom Hex? And then I saw and I was like, oh, that is so
incredible.
cool.
So
But
jumping right into go ahead, go ahead.
jumping right in because I have comments already on
Yeah.
the one talking about the proximity
Mm.
of
Witches.
woo woo girls, but
Yeah.
the sentiment that Agatha makes about how the collection of people amplifies the power,
Totally.
and that is
Sisterhood.
such it's sisterhood, but it is such a thing that is recognized in so many different cultures when you have a
Mhm.
collective number of people aimed at the same goal, and it may be just intention, going to church. Like
Sure.
that is an example of a
Ritualism of it.
collection of
Chanting,
people
singing together.
chanting,
Yes.
singing, by the
Mhm.
way, being praying twice,
Sure.
love. The just touching on all of that. The music in this
Yes.
is so intrinsically magical
Yes.
that it is just locked in. It's
Bitch, have
locked
you
in.
walked
But
around outside in this gorgeous autumnal ass like atmosphere listening to Down the Witch's Road? It's
yes,
incredible. It's like the only thing I walk my dog to. Like I'm sure
yes.
that my neighbors are tired of hearing me full-throated
Well,
sing
and thank
those
goodness the
songs.
leaves have finally started changing, as they normally
Yes.
do in late October.
Yeah,
Just
notoriously. Right. 80-degree days. So Shauna, was there something else you were going to say, or are we going to jump
Oh,
into
I wanted to just say, like, thinking about in terms of like those like alternative theories and the way that I've always been a very like I've like argued with people on like Facebook about like how I believe in the validity of things like acupuncture.
Sure.
And and I feel like that's something that we do not have a scientific explanation, but seems to work. And I feel like that kind of connection to the body, that just because we don't understand
Yes.
something in one way doesn't mean that it doesn't work. But I always think acupuncture, cupping, what's the laying on of hands?
Reiki,
Reiki. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I always
energy
think
movement.
Reiki, like and I've absolutely had success with Reiki and enjoy, like, when, shout out to my coworker Mercedes, who was like, saw me times and
Yes.
was like,
I've
I'm just
gotten
going to do
Reiki
this
from
quick and I
Mercedes
can't miss
too.
it. Right? It's
Yeah.
just, oh,
Oh, the
but yeah.
I worked with a Reiki practitioner, and like I Mercedes was always connected to the center when I worked there.
Yeah.
But like she explicitly did Reiki for me one time. But a former coworker of mine, Jen, she was a Reiki practitioner, and sometimes she would just come up behind me and put her hands on my shoulders, and I would just like be working and like not realize that like my shoulders are dropping, and then I realize she's touching me. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, just a little Reiki, you're fine.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, thanks.
Just adjusting your chakras, bitch.
Right,
But that,
right.
right, and that alternate way of knowing thyself and the world around you, and thinking of like
Yeah.
having like a big believer in the interconnectivity of like there's an energy there, and that going, but again, that spirit, that collective energy, I feel like there is something to that, and I just want to kind of add that in a way that like I feel I wouldn't have thought myself like it's spiritual, because
Hmm.
there is an absolute spiritual aspect to it that I don't necessarily attribute, like, but is still something that I found to actually be very true and important in my life.
But as
Yeah.
a rational person and as
Hmm.
a someone who really needs things to make sense to them before I can ascribe, before I can be like, yes, that makes sense and I'll do that.
Mhm.
Even with what the current what we're talking about right now and the energy work, like I look at that even from a scientific lens of nothing is neither created nor destroyed, energy
Hmm.
is never gone, like so, like directing that energy in a scientific my scientific brain tells
Hmm.
me, yeah, that is feasible. Like that is
Hmm.
something that you should be able to do, and we can direct energy,
Mhm.
light, however, but it then ties to an energy that, like Shauna is saying, we may not fully understand, but
Sure.
we know that that Reiki helped relax shoulders, or whatever it did for you.
Laughing, laughing because it's not real. Those people on TikTok that do telekinesis with. Please tell me you all have seen that. You have
Mm-mm.
not. Oh my
Nothing.
God. Okay, there is this like couple, I think, where they do telekinesis. They're literally just moving things with gusts of air with they're literally doing like the Prue hand movement,
Oh my
but
God.
like it just moves, and it's like foil. So it's like, bitch, of course it's gonna move. That's air and foil. Like that's how, like that's air. That's not okay, whatever. Maybe like
All right.
the gag of us being like, it's all fucking cool, man, and then being like, it's not
Except
real, those idiots.
that, fuck that. Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
you're fucking weirdo telekinesis. But there was a thing that we used to do in middle school. I think it was your cheeks or something. Like touch up either side of your face and then like use your hand to move something. It was the same exact
oh
thing,
God, I do remember that.
Like
but
Yeah.
static
it was
electricity.
it wasn't even static electric. It was like, 'cause I think it was your cheeks or like your, I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, Shauna, bring us into episode 6. We got to stop talking about
Yeah.
bullshit.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Agatha All Along. The reason why we're here. I mean, the reason
Mhm.
why we're here is to bullshit with each other, and
Correct.
at the end
Honestly.
of the day,
By way of
right?
Agatha.
So now, episode 6. So we're immediately brought, if you recall, in episode 5, where we find out that the teen is actually no mere teen. He's the son of the Scarlet Witch, as the crown forms on his forehead and Billie Eilish plays in the background. And we're left with a whole lot of questions, which are thankfully answered mostly in this episode. So we're now in a flashback, and we get to see young William Kaplan, a teenager from ECU, celebrating his bar mitzvah, where he encounters a palm reader, Lilia, who is using her abilities to then deduce and sees, oh shit, something's going to happen with this kid.
Mhm.
And I was shocked to find out that she was the one who actually created the sigil.
That was such a fucking good twist.
I
I
honestly,
agree.
I wasn't surprised. I don't know
Really?
why. Yeah, I just kind of suspected because that foresight that she has really lended itself to someone wanting to protect him. So like with her, it played out in a way that I was like,
But are
oh, this
you
makes
reading that?
sense.
Are you reading that from the perspective of someone who's now seen a whole episode dedicated to her, or were you genuinely not
Mm-mm.
surprised when you saw it?
No, I was genuinely not surprised. I
I
was happy. I was like, oh wow, that's so cool. But
yeah
it wasn't like a shocking revelation for me.
Right.
yeah
And it
it
so
it
plays into like her forgetfulness too, because
It
she's
yes.
such an
well,
Well,
and
inherently
because of the
forgetful
the
sigil.
character.
fact the fact
Yeah.
that she forgot the second she dropped that sigil into his pocket was
Yes,
incredible. Like
like
it was
witchcraft.
it was witchcraft, but it's almost like she was not only protecting him, but also
Mhm.
protecting herself because
There
I think it
is
was too much for her to know.
Mm.
So there, one of the theories that I have heard is that what she saw, like in an alternate future or something, if she had, okay, so that sigil was put on as the hex was falling. Like, so in that same night, she puts the sigil on him and the hex falls. Actually, it's almost like they exit the tent, and
Party,
then like eventually his dad says that something's happening with the anomaly in Westview.
right?
um like the theory was something along the lines of she saw that if she didn't put the sigil on him, Wanda, after the events of WandaVision, Wanda would have been able to find him using the Darkhold, which meant that she would have found her son and already been corrupted by the Darkhold and then eventually pass that on to Wiccan. I don't
Wow,
know if that's based in anything, but I thought that like I mean, there's so many reasons that they can like that sigil can
changed.
explain a lot in the multiverse right
Yes,
now.
yes.
So it was a great fucking plot device.
Interesting
I
though
Now it's
agree.
gone.
how Wiccan being protected in that way. Where's our Hulkling?
Oh,
Well, we'll
well,
get into
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
Because what had happened was they're then on their way home because, all of
Not
a
you saying
sudden
what
these
had happened
superpowered
was.
yeah.
assholes are having a dome created and they're like, shit, something's happening. I guess my bar mitzvah's gotten ruined.
Right,
Cool.
like,
So they're on
thanks
their
a
way home,
lot,
like,
Wanda.
yeah, really and truly. And there's a crash, and this young William Kaplan hits his head on the window, splat, not looking great. However, at that very moment, the soul, essence, mind, whatever of Billy Maximoff enters into this newly open body, and instead of finding its way into whatever ether, is now in this teenager and doesn't remember his past and is
Yeah,
now
he
very
wakes up
curious
and
as
he
to what
just goes,
happened.
Tommy! And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
like, that's
The
it.
heartbeats really tell a lot
Mm.
there,
Yeah,
Oh
because
my
you've got the
gosh.
fading heartbeat of William and
yeah.
then the immediate rush from Billy. And
Hmm.
it's
Some,
all there's like some morality, questionable morals here.
totally.
Like did he push William out? Agatha
As
points out.
is discussed later, like,
Yeah,
you don't feel bad for that. You can't think about that shit for too long.
you were
No, because there's
surviving.
nothing you can
You're
do. Yeah,
surviving.
you
Right.
didn't.
You were
Yeah, it wasn't a
surviving.
conscious thought. It was
Right,
just
exactly.
Wasn't
spiritual
malicious.
instinct. No, no.
Totally.
And so now he has this mind reading ability that he's kind of learning causes a lot of problems and needs to not use. And, 3 years later, he meets his boyfriend, Eddie, which leads the question: which one of them is or was gay? Is it William that was gay? Is it Billy that was gay? If one of them was straight and one of them was gay, does that lead to a bisexual post soul merging person? I have questions.
Yeah, like,
Will the souls merge?
was William Kaplan gay and so was Billy Maximoff?
Yeah,
Or was William Kaplan gay and Billy Maximoff was straight, but he entered into William Kaplan? Who knows?
like a Mary Jane Watson situation with Zendaya, where it's like, oh, actually, my full name's Theodore, but I just go by
Yes,
Eddie for some silly reason. Like, I'm
totally.
sure it's gonna be like something like that.
Like
Like,
his sibling couldn't say Teddy, and so
yeah,
everybody just called him Eddie.
yeah.
Um,
I'm Thad.
the I have a
You
friend
know,
whose name is Edmund, but he goes by Ned. Like, and he explicitly says Ned, not Ed.
He's a
So
brown
Ned
person,
Stark.
and we are renowned, us brown people, for being
whole
named
new name.
things that are not our names. So
Yeah. And our you know, other hot nerd Ooksmall pointed out that we see that he has a double earring, like he wears two earrings in the same lobe, which is a specific uh, style choice of Teddy in the comics. And also in a scene later on, Eddie takes his jacket off and he's wearing a sleeveless shirt and he's got
those
great arms.
arms.
And his and Billy says like, you know, like, put those arms away. Yeah, like, your arms are going to distract me.
Love
Teddy / Hulkling exclusively wears
cut
cut
off
off or
shirt.
sleeveless shirts.
Sleep.
Like
Yeah,
his
Okay.
uniform, his outfit is sleeveless.
it's very true.
It would be, it's definitely a big swing, like, in terms of theories, but I don't think it's far off.
No, I mean, he also, I feel like he handled the news of, oh, by the way, I'm not this
Yes.
person you think I am. I actually might be the son of the Scarlet Witch incarnated into this Jewish boy's body. And like,
So
This Jewish boy's body.
really though, factually, but
Hey,
really
he's
though,
a Jewish man. He had his
okay.
bar mitzvah. Put
that's
some
your
respect on that
my
shit.
mistake. Well, I mean, yeah, that's right. My mistake.
Yeah,
This Jewish man's body. Excuse me.
this
I
Jewish
respect the
man's body.
process. Yeah.
Did
But
handle it so well though. Like
there was
having
something
the
that you
only
pointed out,
question,
Shauna. Oh, sorry.
but having the only question be, well, then who are you then? You know, like I'm
Mhm.
still here for you, but who are you?
But
Yeah,
that's
I also
really
feel like
well
that was.
handled for someone who maybe is also superpowered themselves. Like, is all I'm
So
saying.
I don't
Like,
know if it was that exact moment, but I also thought that that was like, I, I read that scene as like, these are 13, 16-year-old queer kids. Like, the assumption is you're about to come out to me as trans,
Mhm.
not tell me that you are the reincarnated son of the Scarlet Witch. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's one take on it. The other take is something that you pointed out, Shauna. Uh, Hulkling, the hero name for Teddy, he's called Hulkling because he's part Skrull, part Kree, and he's green and can shapeshift. And I think his original shapeshifted form, he just turns bigger and like greener. I think he's not green like when we meet him as Teddy. But so like he goes by this name Hulkling, but then he starts to like be able to realize he can like shapeshift and stuff, and he's a shapeshifter, not Hulk. But he keeps the name, and I don't remember why I started down that path. Oh, because Shauna said pointed out like, yeah, of course, like he was testing the waters with one of his responses to see how Billy would respond, like, it was about aliens, something about aliens. And he's like testing the water to be like, how do you feel about aliens? Because
When did
he's
he
an
do that?
alien.
I missed that.
I don't remember. It was the scene where they're
Okay.
in. I,
In the car?
they're like in the like, yeah. It was one of the first. It was
I
yeah. It
think
was
they're
the
in his
scene where
room.
Orville Peck was playing. I think.
Yeah.
In the
Okay,
car.
that's in the car.
Also, I
Yeah.
love the Orville Peck. I immediately,
So
when I
good.
Honestly,
heard that guitar strum, I was like,
So
"That's
good.
Orville Peck." I love this inspired choice. Saw
Yes,
him
very much
perform, him and his
so.
band over the summer. In my like, I had my gay back-to-back concerts where I saw Chapel Roan and then Orville Peck, and it was
Incredible.
fascinating.
Blessed.
It was
wow.
Blessed.
such, it was the distinction between the two, but also it was just such a great queer like summer for concerts. Ah, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. So we meet Teddy, and then from that car conversation, they go to the garage, and then what?
It's boner
Isn't that his
time.
bedroom?
Ralph
It's
Boner
boner
makes an appearance and,
I low key
not
thought the person,
Quicksilver himself.
right,
Yeah.
Pietro, if we remember correctly, um,
Pietro, yes.
when
Which I'm curious
they
if he still has his powers.
well, he's not uh Quicksilver in this. He's just Ralph Boner, like he's just a regular dude.
Did he not have
That's
powers
why
in
No,
they
because he's
um
just He might as well just be his other role as the chaser from Pose. Like that's pretty
Got
much
it.
like
Right.
Got it.
Yeah, because he's got
Creeper
that.
chaser. Got it.
Yeah. I thought when he was like slinking around in the coat and stuff, I thought it was going to be Agnes. Like I thought that was going to be the first time that Agnes and Billy interact with each other. I was a little
I
bummed
like
by that.
that.
I was like, oh, that's fucking Agnes. That's totally Agnes. You know, it's exciting that it was boner time, but when is it not?
All right. So then now he's jamming out to Lorna Wu, listening to The Witch's
Ugh.
Road, and gets inspired and is like, this is clearly the answer. Chases down Agatha, and you get to see some of the flashbacks where she's wearing the Boner family camping picnic, let's pitch a
Right.
tent, which is
Yeah.
just such a dumb, great like pun that they included in the show. It's fantastic. And then you figure out that because Billy can't control his powers, so now they need to go on the Witch's Road and help each other. And so they proceed forward, and you are now kind of caught up as the viewer into what has actually been going on as you realize he tries to talk and say his name and doesn't realize that he's not being heard, and that Agatha did actually have like an idea that this might be the case.
Right.
Catches up with the show.
The the thing that didn't get mentioned that led to him sort of starting to do the Witch's Road inquiry was he learned about Agatha Harkness from Ralph Boner, and then he learned that Wanda had two sons that were twins, and then he learned because Ralph Boner calls them the Speedster and his mind reading
Mind
brother.
reader.
And so that's when he learns about Tommy, and
Whose
we
name
are
he already
now.
knew.
Yes, but we don't. That's him waking up. So like, I think maybe, I'm curious if like he woke up knowing Tommy, because what he says is like he explains to Agatha later that he can sense him, but he can't find him, and so I imagine he knew the name Tommy and that Tommy had some type of relationship to him, but not that he was his brother and not that it was, they were the anomalies from the Scarlet Witch.
Something I
And then
found
on top of it, go ahead, please.
Well, something I found so incredible from that episode as well was the fact that the entire coven had interacted
Yes.
with William
Yes.
prior to Billy. So it's almost like that destiny had some type
Totally.
of effect there of them having all been a part of each other's lives beforehand.
And none of them remembering it because of the sigil.
Boom.
And thinking he actually then did meet all of the members of the coven, because the head hitting the window, he met Death.
Oh shit!
Stop! Holy shit! You're
just
not
thought
wrong.
that, but
Yeah,
You're not
correct.
wrong.
Correct.
He did
William
brush with
Kaplan
Death.
did probably. I mean, William Kaplan probably. She probably
William.
shepherded William Kaplan to the afterlife.
William met Death. Wow.
One of the things that he's also like, so when there was a lot of really good like symbolism and references. So there's been a lot of the Wizard of Oz references throughout the show.
So
Billy
many.
William has a ton of them in his room. And the Wizard of Oz. Oh, so there was a bunch of pop culture references, specifically the Wizard of Oz, which I also recognized that at the beginning of the episode when William at his magic themed bar mitzvah goes to see the fortune teller, it's very much so the same sort of setup as Dorothy going to see the fortune teller before the tornado comes in the Wizard of Oz.
Oh my gosh.
Because it also like comes all back around. I dropped that in the Screen Crush Discord, and one of the like host of one of the Screen Crush YouTube videos said, "Oh my god, I totally missed that. I'll shout you out in the next video." What if this is my start of internet celebrity?
you're already hot, you're already a nerd, now
Oh my
you're a
god, thanks.
celebrity.
Yeah, totally. Here's hoping. God, I'm tired of working. This shit is bullshit. But some of the pop culture shit included Agatha potentially being Jolene from Dolly Parton's song, being the other woman. And there's
Stop. That was in the
also,
image search. That was in the
yes,
image search when he also, I wish reverse image search worked that well.
it
To
does.
be able
Oh, it
to,
doesn't work that
well,
well.
that well, like to be able to
Yeah,
pick up the pictures of Agatha
from
across
like the
all of those
1800s.
various, exactly,
Yeah.
like that was pretty cool. Like I wish that were real. That also magic.
So something that someone pointed out, like, oh, why was Agatha at all those major tragedies? Because she was at the Titanic sinking,
Mm-hmm.
she was at some other major loss of life event, and the theory is like if your girlfriend's death, who we do learn officially in the coming episode,
Right.
that Rio Vidal is death, that what better place to make sure that you don't have to deal with killing people than to just take a bunch of souls at once, meet your quota, and you know, like fucking go bonkers and then fuck each other's brains out because clearly
They
they be
fucked a lot.
fucking.
They
They fucked
fucked
a
a
lot.
lot. Like
They
paint
fucked a lot.
peeling off the walls.
Yeah,
I
like that
know.
terrible episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Oh my
Oh
god.
from season
god,
Let's
that
not talk
4
is
about that.
where the wild things are. Yeah.
Yeah. But the yearning in
Mm,
Agatha for
mm,
Rio, like when they were
mm.
riding the brooms, there was that moment
Yeah.
where one, they immediately did the ritual with each other. Number
Correct.
one.
So
Like
gay.
default, like,
So gay.
yeah, obviously we're gonna gift each other
and in a
brooms.
very gay way.
Yeah.
Like,
And
Right.
literally, they scissor.
They
It's basically just scissoring.
broom scissored.
They
But
broom scissored.
but
That's what
also
Hex and
I
Besson actually loosely translates to is broom scissor.
broom scissors.
Right, Shauna?
broom scissor is the
Yeah.
But also the gift giving as a magical component,
Totally.
very, very strong to be given a gift
Hmm.
and that be the magical component. So the fact that they had to gift it to each other, I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah.
But
Some of my most favorite magical items are gifted to me.
but the acting is so good in just the smallest lip movements, the glances. I've rewatched all of these episodes at minimum twice, most of them 3 times. But specifically, the moment in the episode prior where Agatha absorbed our poor Alice's
Yeah.
power, I wanted to know definitively, did she do it on purpose?
Right.
Was it
Totally.
intentional? And
She plays a great
incredible,
liar.
incredible liar. But I think part of it is because there's truth in it.
Right.
And there is the moment when Alice is targeting Agatha and pushing her power into her to push Agatha's mother out, where
Yeah.
Agatha has the realization
Yeah. That's what she's
of
doing.
the power. Like she feels it and it feels so familiar and so good and she wants it and I think her instincts took over and she really did just, yeah, give it to me. And then
Yeah.
by the time it was all said and done, it was too late. So
Yeah.
I think that in that moment and the moments immediately following where she's having those conversations with Teen and there's remorse. She's remorseful and also very misunderstood, I feel like. I think
Sure.
she's cast as the role of villain, and so she will play the role of villain. I feel
Right.
like that is very much how she has inherited this infamy
Totally.
is the way that she's been painted.
and I think there's
The
something so queer to that too.
Oh
Like
yeah.
being like, if you're
Yes.
going to paint us as the bad guy, then we will embrace that. If we are just this
Yeah. Call me
nothing
a
The bad
more
sexual
bitch.
deviant.
than
I'll show you a sexual deviant.
Right.
right. That exactly though. There's
Yeah.
something to be said about them taking ownership away from and then being it some aspersion cast upon us, and then having it be like, well, you can't hurt me with this if it's something that I claim for myself.
It is
Yeah. Which
absolutely
I think
the it's absolutely the, well, you're gonna call me that anyway, so
If a
so
witch is a bad thing, then I will be a witch. Yeah.
right.
when that acting, like the quality of
Ugh,
acting of Catherine Hahn, like, and relating that to sort of the big queer allegory of it all, and how, you know, she has now picked up this gay child,
mhm.
and there's you know, when she's talking to him, you can read every line, you know, as symbolism, like, don't you dare feel shameful of your gift, of your talent. Like,
Of who
she
you
didn't
are.
say I didn't mean to. She said I couldn't control it. Like, there's a
That.
difference between those things. And
That.
like, her telling him, like, yeah, you might not have meant to do it, but you did. So like, you're going to need to learn how to control that shit. And because people get hurt. And so obviously she's also
Mhm.
like she's like giving herself some grace in how she's saying that. She's saying what she wishes her mother would have said to her. But
Talk about
also
it.
the whole allegory of like, look, don't fucking believe them when they tell you it's bad. Being queer is a fucking gift. It's a fucking talent. To be able to stay alive and do this shit, it's a fucking talent. Don't ever feel bad for doing whatever it takes to survive, because witches have all, you did what every witch has ever done. You survived.
When your mother wants you
Okay.
dead.
Hello.
Okay? Okay? When your own mother wants you dead, who do you become?
So speaking of gay mothers, let's go to episode 7.
Oh, let's talk about it.
Which graciously we were given an entire episode to Patty
Ugh.
LuPone's Lilia Calderu.
But can we at first just talk about the high notes in Witch's
Oh,
Road?
when she's doing the descant in Witch's Road,
Ah! Cuts through
incredible,
everything to
but blends
say
perfectly.
incredible.
Blends perfectly.
Incredible. Distinct
Yes,
voice. I mean, Patty LuPone is Patty LuPone.
Patty LuPone.
There
It's
is
a Fritz
no,
Bernays. Patty LuPone.
and to touch on some more nerd shit, her as Yellow Diamond in Steven Universe.
Yes, like,
Ugh,
I get that this bitch will take a check, but I also love that she's like not
I'll cash it.
like, right, the check cashes. There's no there was no I'm sure artistically it had to check a lot of boxes for her. Let's be honest.
Sure.
This episode is incredible. It is beautiful television. If that was put in front of me, I would sign on too, especially if you're fucking Patty LuPone. But I love that there is stigma around being in Marvel shit. And like self-respecting act, well, quote unquote, like serious actors or whatever, like, you know, it's, there's so much hate towards the Marvel Cinematic Universe and what it has done to movies and film, that there's a lot of uh, uh, negative energy towards the Marvel Universe. And so for her to still do that and not be like, I'm a literal like Tony winning Broadway star, like,
Multi.
just for her to still participate in it, one, speaks to how much money they have, two, speaks to how good the source material is, but three, also, like, she doesn't take it that fucking serious. Like, she played a cartoon alien that was comprised of yellow diamonds. No, she's
Light energy.
White Diamond.
Yellow Diamond.
No, she's Yellow Diamond.
Oh, she's Yellow Diamond. My diamond.
Yeah, and has a great musical number in it.
Incredible music. Steven Universe. Shout out.
Oh, we're gonna have a whole other episode about that. Don't you fret.
Yeah. Shout
But
out to
also
Rebecca Sugar.
Shout out.
She's also in Pose, by the way, as speaking of another Pose callback, because she's the evil landlord lady who is MJ Rodriguez.
Owns the beauty shop.
Yeah.
Damn, I forgot about that.
Patty
LuPone.
Patty LuPone will.
Great choices in.
She will do one thing, and that is uplift the queer community. Okay, she knows her audience.
She will also do another thing, and it's have a song.
I really believe that there are actors and actresses that have writers like,
On the
I'm certain
writer.
that this is not like
Absolutely.
groundbreaking or anything, but Patti LuPone, Bette Midler, I'm certain that Bette Midler demands to have a song in a movie if it's appropriate.
Why would she not?
But like Cameron Diaz, do you ever notice that Cameron Diaz has a dance number in like every movie she's in?
But why?
I mean, probably not every movie. I never saw the like what's it called movie. I don't know. I find her charming. She's a fucking. I mean, I
She's
think she's
fun.
okay. We got to
She's
stop talking
great.
about Cameron Diaz.
Anyway,
Or
episode
your
Charlie's
7
7.
Angels.
Respect.
Yeah.
Hector, episode 7.
So episode 7, incredible. We get to see Agatha and Billy continue on the road before coming across a castle. And upon entering, transformed, this was incredible, into the Wicked Witch and Maleficent, which Joe Locke, I mean, was not wrong about the cheekbones.
Yeah.
Served
The
cunt
cheekbones fit.
so well. Like,
Very
Good for
just
him.
in
Magical
it,
cunt.
feeling her oats, just in it. Evil
Oh.
queen realness.
Also, Evil Queen. We get we get 2 confirmations of just how gay Agatha Harkness is. The first of which being when Billy asks her, "Is Scarlet Witch alive?" She says no. Yes. Is there a body? And then she says maybe. And then Joe Locke says, "Did you see a body?" And she said yes, because Agnes did, and she remembers that Agnes saw a body. And then she said something like, and then the next question was like, it's complicated because like, did anyone else see the bodies? Like, did anyone where did that scene come from? But ultimately, the line she says is, "If you wanted an straight answer, ask a straight lady."
You want
And
a
if
straight
that isn't-
answer? Ask a straight lady, bitch, on my grave. So
Like-
good.
And like again, that there's something about that is how queer people talk to each other. Like,
It is.
no, I mean, I would probably say that to a straight person, but like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love this now. You're gay, I'm gay, everybody's gay dynamic. It's beautiful. Sorry,
But
continue,
it's
Hector.
very much, and not to upset the those people, but it's very much a normalization of
Yeah,
we're people
totally.
being people who are also gay
Right.
and
Right.
having a conversation.
Right.
And
Where we acknowledge
and
that we are gay.
right. And if you want a straight answer, ask a straight lady.
Ask a straight lady.
I
But
feel like there's going to be a queer Bechdel test where it's like 2 queer people talking about someone who's not a straight person. Like,
Great. Yes.
I try to limit my time spent on that community.
Well, yeah. Except for when you're sucking them off. You fucking slut.
Hey, straight-ish. So back to episode 7. So they're walking into this castle, and then they're presented with the next challenge, which it has to do with tarot cards. And obviously they need Leia, and Leia is not there because she's been sucked into the mud with our friend Sashir Zameda, Jennifer Kale. Jennifer Kale. What a like white woman name though.
Crunchy. No, that's a woo woo bitch ass name.
It is a woo woo bitch ass name. Kale. Come on. So if they don't place the proper cards in the correct sequence, swords will literally fall from the ceiling, which is so tarot-like. And I think at the top of this episode, I did mention that was my foray into
intro,
into the craft was tarot. So this episode really gave me a lot in terms of symbolism, specifically, and Leia had been doing this throughout the series, calling out the cards.
Say Patti LuPone's name right.
Wait, what is it? Lilia?
Lilia.
I thought Lilia
Lilia.
was the person who reads the cards, and it
Lilia.
was just a term I didn't know.
Right.
No,
Lilia.
so when
I was like,
when
oh,
they
yeah,
said
of
it the first
course.
time, I was like, Lilia? Like the layout? The spread?
Right.
Like that's
Leia.
what? Lilia.
Lilia.
Stop trying to make it Puerto Rican. Lilia.
I'm trying. I'm adding spice. I want to add some sazon to her name, okay?
Right. There's no emphasis. Okay, continue. Sorry.
When Lilia.
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 Patty LaPone. Just call her fucking
Patty
Patty
LaPone.
LaPone.
When Patty,
Patty
Yeah.
LaPone.
throughout
No,
the
say her
series,
full name.
Patty LaPone. When
Only in person.
when Miss Patty LaPone.
When Tony winning Patty LaPone.
No. But throughout the entire series, she's been calling out these cards. And
Yes.
there was some speculation about how these moments that she was having, these stricken moments of witchcraft, as Agatha recognized in the initial scene with Patty LaPone, that witchcraft was happening, was really to do with some memory lapses and some flashbacks that Lilia was
You got it, babe.
experiencing.
Patty LaPone.
Patty LaPone.
Patty LaPone. And so that was incredible because immediately then we get into the flashbacks from Leia's childhood in revealing her practice with divination magic and experiencing her life literally out of order. Which, what movie is that? There is a movie like that
Memento.
where, what is it?
Memento.
Memento?
Yeah.
Because
I've seen that.
Kelly loves a good out of order memory.
It's cool.
Media.
It's so
It's
cool.
a great plot device. Okay,
Because
so
you just
I want to pause there. Yeah. I like so the connecting pieces
the fitting puzzle.
Billy and Agatha are trying to read for each other and they can't do it because neither of them know tarot for shit.
And Agatha is just fucking it up. Like she's just like,
And
put the cards
she doesn't
down.
believe
Like
it.
she's not.
She doesn't
Right.
believe it. She thinks it's subjective, and it is, subjective. But that's
well. So here's the thing about tarot specifically: it's a tool. It is.
Sure.
It's
a communication tool.
It is a communication tool that is specifically for the person learning to do the reading. They are interpreting symbolism. And that is why you have so many different types of decks and different designs. And I mean, Rider-Waite is just one deck design. And so anyone who is reading that card is going to read it in their way. So Agatha's not wrong. It is subjective, but the interpretation, the connection in there and into the individual's intuition is what we're really looking for. And Leia has that. Leia. God damn it. Now I'm going to be so self-conscious.
Patty LaPone. So, they're fucking it up, and that's when they realize, I wish Lilia was here, and we have been getting, they've been cutting back and forth between Lilia and Jen underneath the Witch's Road. We learned that they are safe after being thrown off by Billy, and the way that it plays out, until about halfway through the episode, it's not making sense. You're not even really understanding what's happening.
It's so disconnected.
It's so disconnected, but there are so many things that are she's picking back up where they belong. So they do a supercut where they start pushing things together. So we get the scene from I think maybe when they're in the woods and she starts to say, Alice, don't. And then it smash cuts to her with Agatha in the bathroom of the wine trial going, try to save Agatha. And we see those as separate. And that, I think that was one of the first ones that people put together.
Yes, it was.
But we really didn't, at the beginning, we didn't like each other, but now I love you guys. Those two things, those were parts of separate conversations. So when she says at the beginning we really didn't like each other, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned on the previous episode that I was really interested to hear what she was going to say about vampires, because she was talking about a vampire bite on her neck, and she says in the beginning we really didn't like each other. I assumed that was her starting to tell a story about vampires and then getting lost, but in reality it was a time jump, or an out of sync moment with her then in the wine episode where they were all hallucinating or they were all being poisoned. They assumed her going, I love you guys, was just hallucination.
Drunk talk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it was
Exactly.
just her being
Drunk
like
talk.
maybe just unnecessarily emotional, like
A couple
how no one
glasses of
else
wine
was
too
feeling it.
deep.
Yeah. I mean, one was too many in that instance.
Exactly, right.
As someone who drank more white wine last night and had a 40-year-old woman's hangover for like 2 glasses of wine, like I can relate. So
Did your face get all puffy?
I just the tannins.
She said, "Bitch, did it?"
Did it? No.
No. Cheekbones. So, Billy says, I wish Lilia was here, and then Lilia arrives. We have arguably one of my favorite moments of the series when Patty LuPone grabs Teen by the neck, by his shirt, and she we are not cool, teenager. And Jennifer goes, damn, calling him by his full name. That was so, like, she might as well have said his government. Like,
that caught me.
incredible.
When that happened, I was like, this is a Brown moment. I feel this.
Yes, that was a Brown moment. That was, I also feel like, I was thinking about this when I was stoned in the shower. I was like, well, I feel like the actual line should have been like, damn, pulling out his government, but it's not his government name. We don't know his government name, but teenager is the full name of teen, which is just so fucking funny. Like, it really took me down. It was
but it's those moments that in this episode that had so much seriousness, that levity was still in it, and like something that I think Catherine Hahn has really added throughout this whole series.
So good.
And now you see, the Jennifer Kale giving that, especially stepping up in this episode in a really great way. Like, I loved the development like between her and Patty LuPone. I thought it was so good.
They had a moment, as she said.
They did. So one of the other things that I saw someone point out, excuse me, was in 2 of the previous trials. So when they run into the chamber doors of the road, Jennifer literally pushes through people to get through the door because the Salem 7 are coming. And then after the wine trial, she literally pushes people out of the way to get out through the oven. And when they are leaving later in this episode, she waits and says, I'm not going before you, to Lilia. And it's like, again, the power of sisterhood reminds you, like, it's not about you, bitch. Like,
really,
it's about everyone. So I'm not going to let you.
But isn't that what the road is about?
For sure.
I feel like the power it's literally going to come to this.
It's the friend that you made along the way.
Yes, it's literally going to be.
The magic is the friends you made along the way.
100%. Wow. I believe that. I do believe that. Because think about the refinement.
If someone says that, though, I'm boycotting.
But think about the refinement they have to go through to get to through these trials. I mean, they are rediscovering the magic that they have, the power that they have, and really just unlocking that's already been there.
The one thing that I was I'm like interested in and just like haven't really talked through is like, it also maybe seemed like these were not their trials, like other than the first one, which was very clearly Jennifer's, but like people were pointing out like Teen is the first one to find the clue, and like all the things from Agatha's trial were like shit from his room, like a bunch of his stuff. The record that breaks in in Alice's trial is the same record that he was listening to when he realized in episode 6 about the Witch's Road. And there was something else in the Wine Mom episode that I don't remember, but like there's like obviously each of those witches has played a role, but like it has been Billy all along. Like we
have
main
a reality
character has
shifted
from
witch.
Yes. Yeah. Which is one of the notes that I made when Lilia is doing his tarot. So Lilia and Jennifer get into the room with Agatha and Billy. They start this trial and she's like, this is my shit. I am a divination witch. Here we go. And she pulls the first card for him as the traveler, and it's crap. I should probably remember.
Don't recall.
It's
Isn't
some
it like the
card, but
magician?
it's the
The
magician,
magician. Very
aka a
apropos.
wiccan, like
Yeah.
a witch. So, and then the second card is the sun, which he is looking for. He is looking for Wanda's other son. And then, through a series of events, she realizes it's not him that she's
me.
pulling for. But one of the words that she says when she's reading for him, for the son, she says, "You are capable of making your dreams a reality." And like, Wiccan is literally a reality warper.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, and he's literally the result of Wanda's dreams becoming reality.
exactly.
He is a dream made reality himself.
Yes, very that. Very that.
Oof. Oh my God. Episode 7.
Mhm.
So we also find out, and Shauna, you already touched on this, Rio being the personification of death, the original Green Witch.
The original Green Witch. That was so we tried to be like coy about it in a previous episode. It was spoiled for a lot of people that Billy is Wiccan, or sorry, Teen was Wiccan, and that
Damn
Rio
Funko
was
Pop.
death because of those Funko Pops. I was like too stoned and couldn't articulate, like, I don't know if this is technically a spoiler, but like I know that, I don't know how many people listen to this podcast, but like I know that there are some people that didn't have that Funko Pop in their algorithm. But also, like, I guess if you're not primed to think about her as death, like, it's been right there all along. Like, when she popped up and said the Green Witch, I was like, oh, she's death.
Well, it was the way she came up from like a zombie
the earth.
Yes,
from the ground.
she said,
when
I came up. She's from
Death,
hell.
baby.
So when we finally see her as death, it's when, again, the episode is happening out of sync, and Patty and Jennifer fall through. We find out that they fall through the road. One of the things that bothered me is that Lilia said the Scarlet Witch's son telepathically kicked us off the road. That was
Telekinetically kicked us off the road.
Excuse me, I don't have glasses to push up, but technically, that was probably telekinesis, unless you want to use the answer that he did use telepathy to control their minds to throw Agatha off the road. So telepathy might have been involved, but it was really more aligned with his telekinetic abilities.
And really more, you said energy. It was really an energy blast that kicked them off the road.
No, it was telekinesis. Nothing hit them. He threw them.
He went.
Yeah, and you saw the telekinetic woo-woo, the telekinetic wiggly woos, as they called it in WandaVision.
But can we talk about the hand, like, gestures? The finger placement, totally. How Wiccan's is so close to Wanda's.
Yeah.
And
he said, Joe Locke said he studied it.
Oh,
it's
that makes
intentional.
Sense. That makes sense.
I love that. Okay.
So we have Lilia realize that she is the person she's supposed to be pulling for. And
but what a realization. She is the traveler. Like, she is the one that is actually traveling through all of these times.
Isn't that what the old lady referred to her as too, if I'm not mistaken?
Correct.
You're traveling.
You're traveling.
Yeah, you're visiting is what she says.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
First time we flash back, she says, "Oh, you're visiting."
Yeah.
So when she's pulling for her, she has this incredible. She recalls through the actual show. They show you the clips of her randomly spouting off the tarot cards, and that's how she pulls the spread. So every random card that she shouted in the entire show was a card in her tarot spread. She was reading her fucking tarot
the whole time,
out of sequence, out of time. Incredible,
so cool.
Incredible, beautiful. And then she successfully completes the trial.
But to back up a little, They're still
Yeah,
running
please.
from the Salem 7 through those
Exactly.
tunnels, which I'm like, where's that subway? There was like a subway let out
Yeah, I'm curious if that was
to like lead them back to reality.
yeah,
Like,
to be like, all
what?
right,
Like, you can
you guys
leave?
can go.
That
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Billy got where he needed to get, so y'all can beat it.
Honestly, though, like y'all are inconsequential now. You can go,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you can continue
Well,
down the road.
But
And they
also,
just
that does
went.
not give me a lot of confidence for what's going to happen to Jennifer Kale next week.
Yeah,
Look,
totally.
each of the trials, somebody dies. I've accepted it.
Yeah.
Each of them will likely
That's
die.
true.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I guess
we'll talk about theories in a minute, but there's no way they're not all coming back.
Oh, absolutely. I would hope.
I think they have to. So go ahead, Hector. Sorry.
Well, I also and I do not want to not mention the outfits with Miss Patti LuPone as Glinda and Sashir Zameda as the evil queen, looking busted. That was so funny. Like when you're talking about the moment of her saying
Damn. His
full name. Yeah, it was like you're also got this wart and just
right.
so busted.
Iconic. So Lilia realizes that I mean I don't understand how she I don't understand how she knew that she would be able to kill this 5 of the Salem 7, but
Did she kill them though?
Well,
Well,
right.
I
We
think
saw 5
5
bodies.
bodies dropped.
We saw
And
5
the
bodies.
fact that we didn't see all 7 means that there's probably going to be they're
Some
going to come
leftovers.
back, as is a clear final conflict with Rio/Death.
But the fucking imagery,
beautiful,
so incredible. As someone who has learned tarot and who is intimately familiar with how the tower reversed versus the tower, when I'm reading, the tower is worse than death. Because you have this burning structure literally crumbling and everything is falling apart. And to have
about the time I was sorry.
But to have the tower reversed being the card that she's reading, is such a positive omen, like such a great thing. But to just pick up that card and to flip it and the entire structure flip over, incredible. That was so cool. I was like, oh my god.
When there's the moment when she's ushering them all out and she says to Agatha, when she calls you a coward, hit the deck or hit the floor, then she gives Teen his spell book back.
Yeah,
and then,
which he'll need, of course.
Of course. And then she and Jennifer kind of say goodbye to each other. And
that moment.
The words she says before she closes the Iron Maiden, she says, "I loved being a witch." Oh, incredible, beautiful. It very much so reminds me of that quote that is like, in every lifetime I would choose to be queer. In every lifetime I would be gayer every lifetime if I could. I would come out sooner. I would know myself sooner. In every lifetime I would be queer. And that felt very like that. The episode didn't really make me cry just because
I'm about to cry now.
But that moment I was like, oh fuck, that is so beautiful.
So nice.
Patti LuPone.
I was kind of pissed though.
For the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What pissed about what?
I didn't feel the need.
Yeah,
for her to
why did you
stay.
could have just closed the doors and kept running, bitch? Why you gotta kill yourself?
Because
she saw that that's how she's supposed to die.
Right. She knows that's the thing. She knew that it was coming to an end because all of those moments were getting closer and she was closing the gaps. She's like, I know that it's the end.
Well, and she literally saw death. We didn't get the whole interaction between her and death. So we did not get the interaction between Mrs. Hart and Death.
We did not get the interaction between Alice and Death. We did not get the interaction between Patty and Death.
Interesting.
Who am I? So I think
And Rio disappeared the moment that.
That's what I'm saying. Like we didn't.
Like Alice
we just saw her
died.
say, "Don't you remember me?"
I
then
bet
she
we
realized
get
she's
moments this
I would hope.
upcoming next episode.
Same.
I think that is a
Same.
prediction.
Because
Right.
I think these next couple of episodes. So to wrap
The last two.
Yeah, the episode 7, we lose Patty LuPone. We never see her body fall. Just like we never saw Alice's body.
Just that moment of.
Like it's gorgeous cinematically, but we
It
see
is.
5 of the Salem 7 hit the ground, and
skewered by those swords.
Skewered by the swords because
which were
she
real
flips
swords,
the
by
tower.
the way, that were dropping. I thought that was a neat detail.
Practical
they weren't
effects.
CGI.
Committed.
Wow. I love the
Practical
practical effects in the show. I think it's really
Same.
made it such a better.
It must be
just
restated.
that aside.
Yeah. So getting into the future, I think that, you know, we're going to get flashbacks the next couple of episodes. We're going to see Agatha and Rio's relationship. I think we're going to see how
can't wait.
Rio. Oh, by the way, Rio's theme, the that like plays in the background when you see her for the first time is Death. Incredible. But I think we're going to see what her process is of collecting the dead. And so that, I think, is where we'll get the resolution for what happened to those characters. What other predictions?
I'm pretty sure she's specifically the witches, like the Reaper 4 witches. From other things that I've saw. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Could be.
I think that's
I have no reason not to believe that. What are other predictions?
Well, we kind of talked about it a little, but I think that they will everyone who is departed will make an appearance, and there will be a big musical number with them all together again. Lorna's going to be there hand in hand with Alice.
Lorna.
That is going to be. I think they are going to see each other at the end of the road at the same destination of their journey.
Because the repeat in the song, "I'll see you at the end." Like, there's no way that's not, you know,
exactly.
Prediction.
And I think
I was thinking
I thought
earlier
it would
when I
be
was listening to
because she was going to make it alive, but I think it's actually because they're dead and they are reunited in the afterlife. And maybe it's even that Death is not all that bad, and there's something maybe, you know, maybe
Death
there's
might
some
not
sort
be
of
evil.
I don't
well,
it
doesn't seem like she is per se, even though she's clearly been orchestrating.
She's kind of fucked up.
Oh,
yeah,
Aubrey Plaza.
Throughout.
Aubrey fucking Plaza.
Yeah,
that cackle, that witch's cackle as she's riding that broom. I want that
she's
as
been
my
waiting
ringtone.
for that.
Like
she's been waiting for that moment her whole life.
Oh my god. So good.
So
go ahead, Shauna.
Other
that's my first
predictions?
You said
I also think the teen embraces his dual identity. And I think he realizes the question isn't, am I Billy or am I William? It is that he is Billy and William, and that you can't separate the two. And
bisexual.
But I think maybe, actually, we'll see. Depending on what Eddie/Teddy shapeshifts. Like, I think that's
true.
Wherever his gender fluctuation may lie, I think might depend. Like
if you're dating a shapeshifter, you've got to be prepared for anything.
Hello, think of the possibilities.
Like, and I mean anything, because
anything.
Right along. Well, anyways, so yeah, and also I think lastly, I think the way in which what Billy does at the end, I think he remakes the Darkhold, and I don't think it comes back with Wanda, and nor Agatha. But I do think it gets made, and that is where you might see, wait for it, Mephisto.
Mephisto has to show up.
It doesn't have to be Mephisto, but I think there's still going to be something that will lead to the Darkhold gets remade so the Scarlet Witch does not die, and she is then reborn.
And a version of her, you know.
Yes, I think
I don't think we're going to see her until. I don't think we're going to see her until like Doomsday.
Yeah, she does not. She will not make an appearance in this show. They did not pay for Elizabeth Olsen.
No, 100%.
They
had to pay for Patty LuPone. That's priority.
I'm I'm struggling with the idea of whether or not the road is entirely a construct of Wiccans. The When the spell is cast, he is the first one to walk in. And I mean, Ryan, you said it, like how those trials were kind of designed with him in mind. I do think that him being the initial person to walk in
Right.
very likely set the groundwork for the spell, in that his presence
I
has
think I
driven
think there's something
that.
to that. I don't think it's that
Yes.
it's his construct,
Right.
but I
I don't think
do
so
think it
either.
is ultimately. But I do think that you're onto something there that I had not realized with him walking through, that it is in turn
The first
catered
step.
to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, so there are a number of scenes from the mid-season trailer that we have not seen yet. One of them is Billy sitting on the ground, and like there's like on a floor, and there's a bunch of floorboards shaking, and there's a bunch of blue magic underneath it.
Mm.
I think that the reason that the road did not open because Billy was not chanting, and then he starts to chant and gets that's when the door opens. And if we recall, the door to the road opening was blue. It was lined with
Mm-hmm.
like blue fluorescent rocks, but like the magic that was there when it opened was blue.
And to deny the
Could be
idea that Billy is not part of the coven, which
totally,
they tried to like perpetuate that the whole way through, but
but we got it.
there's
Yeah.
no way to say that he's not really
His
part of this
presence
coven.
was still integral. Needing someone who
Right.
did not partake of the cup to still
Correct.
be there, like if he was still involved, even if he wasn't in the coven from the
Right.
get-go.
Yeah. So, last question before we close out. One of the questions from the internet is which witch is most fuckable, which is essentially our closing question. Who is the hottest witch in Agatha, and who do you think is the hottest witch of all time?
Shit.
Knee jerk response. Who's the hottest in Agatha?
Aubrey
It's
Plaza.
absolutely Rio Vidal. Yeah,
It
Yep.
is
it's Aubrey
1000%. Like
Plaza.
I
Mm,
would immediately open my hole for
bottom
Aubrey
for
Plaza.
her. Yep.
Like,
Um, and I think me and Shauna already answered this, unless yours has changed, Shauna. But who's the hottest witch of all
No,
time?
wait,
Do
what
you
were
have
your
an answer?
answers?
I think I said Prue Halliwell specifically.
It's a good answer.
and
Mrs.
I
Hellfire.
said High King Margot.
High King Margot, right?
Oh, that's cool. I like that answer. Oh my God. God, she's such a hot bitch. Hi, King
Hmm.
Margot. That's a good choice. God, the hottest witch of all time. I mean, it's immediately going to be a woman.
Yeah.
I I think of all of the witches that have influenced my life because
If
there's
you don't answer this question,
oh God. Wait, you're gonna have to cut all of this thought.
well, I'm gonna have to cut Ryan ringing the doorbell because he's gonna be at my house any second.
Okay.
Patty LaPone.
No.
The hottest witch of all time is.
I I want to say from The Craft,
Hmm.
but it's mostly because God, now I can't think of her name.
Uh,
Um,
Nancy, Rachel, Bonnie,
no,
Sarah,
the first one,
Nancy, Feruza
Nancy.
Balk.
God, Nancy.
Mm.
Nancy, and I think it's specifically because of the scene where she changes her does the illusion magic and changes into
Oh no, that's
Sarah.
Sarah.
But
Well, she does.
it's not about
Yeah,
her
sorry.
looks, it's her attitude.
Hmm.
It's the
Mm.
seduction, it's the conniving, like just darkness of it. I just think it's very
Yeah.
sexy.
Well, I think the sexiest moment in the craft is when Bonnie takes her jacket off when she's walking in and shows that she doesn't have scars
Shoulders,
anymore.
bitch.
Yeah, get into it.
Shoulders.
Get into it. Sorry, my manicure ran late. All right. Anyways, thank
Put
you
those
so
arms
much.
away.
Thank you to Hector for joining us for this week's episode. It has been a blast.
Hot bitches
Follow
unite.
us on social at Real Hot Nerd Pod. Anyone have anything they want to plug?
Butt plug?
Thanks so much, Hector.
Thanks for joining. What a great.
Bye,
On
everybody.
that note.